Well, hello, class. This particular week, already week 3, would you believe it? We are going to be covering chapters 5 and 6. And chapter 5 specifically looks at the leader's responsibility for setting organizational direction. And the purpose of this chapter is to teach and coach leaders on the important points and concepts and the processes necessary to develop a meaningful mission and vision for an organization. And the thing is that none of this is more than a bunch of words until we're able to communicate it. I mean, that's one of the essential roles of a leader is to communicate vision. And obviously the whole perspective of the chapter looks at the stakeholder, who is anyone that is really a part of a living, thriving culture in the organization to develop, produce, and really to brand their particular product or service. So it really, from a leadership perspective, it really doesn't matter what role you have in the organization on the legitimate grid. I mean, there are different levels of responsibility, don't get me wrong, but the process in and of itself is to be able to have employees motivated to know just where they are in the organization. And it's the leader's responsibility to point out where the subordinates are, even where they are, where their supervisors are, where everybody is. The leader has to have, and the biggest struggle we have as leaders is to understand truly what a vision, mission, and what is the overarching operational intent statement that we make that help contain and develop employees to knowing what their role is, not only to the organization, but to themselves. That's right. There's a balance of what do I get out of what I do for the company, and how do I get the resources that I need to feel good about what I do. And that is the whole component of organizational culture. So the leader's responsibility is to find the common thread that links the organizational requirements to the employees who carry out the day-to-day operations. Employees may look at a mission statement, they can read the words, and it all sounds good and warm and cozy, but they fail to comprehend the vision that is behind that mission, and it's up to the leader to push that vision. So the overarching leader's intent for interpreting the statement is one of the primary leadership responsibilities in an organization. That is to give direction to subordinates. And so this particular chapter, the important components of the chapter is the objective is to discuss the nature and role of vision. What do we really mean by an organizational vision? And also to discuss the vision statement development process. What is the methodology of driving that vision home so not only the leader sees the vision, but those that leader projects to in the organization also sees the vision. And the third component is discuss how a clear and well communicated vision statement can benefit not only the leader, but also the subordinates' activities. What do they do day to day? So everybody is a stakeholder. Everybody has a beneficial interest in the organization. And how does that all pan out in the process? So that's basically what chapter 5 is going to be about. Okay, so now the next thing is in this particular week, we're going to talk about chapter 6. Chapter 6 is very clear. We talked about driving home the vision and the mission to the subordinates, but how do we develop them? How do we get them to do that? So, the point is the one primary learning objective in chapter 6 is to name and discuss the steps in the selection process. How do we recruit the talent management that we need to really drive the vision home? And the selection process is going to refer to all of the steps that are involved in choosing individuals who have not only the right skill sets and qualifications for the job, but also they fit into the culture properly. So, without going into a lot of detail, because we'll be discussing this in the chapter, but there are essentially 5 main steps in the selection process. And the 5 criteria are as follows. Well, the first and most important one is to know that we develop criteria to determine how the person will be chosen. So, how do we put that selection process together? The second is a review of the applications and the resumes, in other words, to fit getting that vision driven home. So, a lot of people look good on paper, but we sit down and talk to them. It may seem like a whole totally different person than what we saw on paper. And the third step is interviewing those that we do choose to sit down and talk to us about how they can relate to what is actually on their resume. And the next step, the last steps are testing, some types of job requirements involve personality testing or drug testing. And then when we go through all of that, we get through the testing, we think we got the right candidates, then we make the offer. So that's kind of what chapter 6 is going to be about. And I'm going to put in some great videos that you can look at this week. One of them is going to be with Provost, Dr. David Sabaki. He's done a wonderful job, comes with several years of experience in knowing how to drive a mission home. He's responsible for all of the academics on the campus, from soup to nuts, beginning to end. It all stops with him. Reporting directly to the president, how does he create a strategic plan to get our academics driven forward? What is that mission? What is that culture set? What are the skill sets that are needed? What type of organizational structure is needed? And most importantly, what type of leadership is needed? So this is where we're going for this week. And I look forward to working with you. And again, all you need to do is text me. You don't have to wait till snail mail if you need an answer to a DQ or need an explanation of something, can't get into a link, blah, blah, blah. You know how to get me. Okay? Sounds like a plan. Have a good week.